And thanks for coming back. Today we've got a really good dish. We're going to be doing Butabara to Daikon no nimono, which is boneless pork rib and daikon, or Chinese radish, simmered for a couple of hours. So everything's going to come out really tender and really delicious. Thanks for coming back. This is Cooking with Sappy. So today's dish isn't difficult to make, it just takes a lot of time. It's going to take about 2 or 3 hours depending on how fast you can prep too. But there aren't that many ingredients, so let's get started.
Alright, and for today we're going to need ginger, half a cup of sake or 120 grams, 2 tablespoons of sugar or 30 grams, 3 tablespoons of soy sauce or 45 grams, 3 tablespoons of mirin or 45 grams, 400 grams or about a pound of boneless pork rib or Butabara katamari. You need half a daikon, and you're also going to need naganegi or spring onion, but only the green part of the onion. Alright, so for the first part, we're just going to take our ginger and we're just going to take a spoon. Like I said before, taking a spoon of ginger is pretty easy. It's better than taking a potato peeler because you have all these little nubbins over here, and we'll just get through this really quickly. Just like so, we have a really nice peeled ginger. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit, and what we're going to do next is just slice our ginger. We're going to put it off to the side. We're going to put that into our soup later. Next we have our naganegi, and we're just going to chop this right here, and we're going to save the green part for our soup stock. And now we have our daikon, and I'm not going to use my knife. I'm actually going to use a potato peeler just to take the peel off just like this. It's going to be pretty quick because we have a lot of daikon to work with. Alright, there we go. Let's just clean as we go, like I always say. And now what we're going to do is cut up our daikon. Try to keep it pretty uniform. We want everything to cook pretty evenly. So you can see, everything's pretty nice and neat. And then we're going to quarter it. We're going to put that off to the side. We're going to cook that later. Let's try and quarter or half everything, depending on the size of the daikon. Alright, so now that we're done prepping, we're going to go on to our meat. And as I said earlier, we're going to go into a boneless pork rib. It should look a lot like this, but on the top, there should be a lot of fat, but more fat, the merrier. Now what I'm going to do today is cut into about 5 centimeters, and it's about the size of my thumb knuckle. So let's just cut away. Just like this. It's about the same size as the daikon that we cut earlier, but try to keep everything uniform. Alright, there we go. Everything's cut. It's about the same size. Alright, now that we have our meat cut, we're going to put it into our pot. Now I'm using a Dutch oven like this, and I prefer using a Dutch oven because it's going to keep a lot more moisture in while we are cooking. I'm just going to put our meat in like this. I'm also going to put our naganegi in, followed by our ginger. Alright, now we're going to be making a soup, so we're going to add some water and put enough water in there that you're going to be covering all of the meat and everything else that you have in there completely. Remember that the water is going to evaporate a little bit, so make sure that there is enough water in the pot. I did turn on a low setting too, so we're just going to be simmering this for about 1 hour. So now all we're going to do is put the lid on, and we're going to let it rest for about 1 hour. And voila! Should look like this. Now what we're going to do is, after we take off the lid, we're going to take our strainer. We're going to get any of the grime off of this, because remember that any of the grime in this soup is going to make it really astringent. So it's really important to take that out of there. After that, we're just going to take a cup full of this broth, and we're going to save this for later. We're actually going to be cooking our daikon and our meat in this later. So make sure to get about a cup full of this broth. Alright, now all we're going to do now is just take out our pork. Should look like this. And we're just going to put it off to the side. So all I'm going to do is take all of the pork from the pot and then put it into a bowl like this. And anything else in the pot we can discard. You can save any of the broth if you want, but I'm just going to get rid of it for now. And now that we've cleaned our pot, all we're going to do is add some olive oil. What we're going to do next is we're going to put our daikon into the pot. And we're going to fry this up a little bit. Now the reason that we're going to fry up our daikon is because if we cook this a little bit, it's going to take on a lot more flavor when we're cooking later. So I'm just going to take my saibashi like this, move everything around a little bit, make sure everything gets cooked, flip it over a little bit, make sure that all the surfaces get cooked. So what I want to show you here is that our daikon has actually become a little bit transparent, and that's really going to help us take on a lot of flavor when we put our sauces in a little bit later. Alright, now that we've fried up our daikon a little bit, we're going to put our meat back into the pot, and we're going to fry our meat just a little bit with our daikon before we put in the rest of our ingredients. Now that we've fried it up, we're going to put our broth back in the pot, and following that, we're going to be putting our sake, and then we're going to be putting in our mirin, and lastly we're going to put our sugar in. Don't worry if it's on top, it's going to dissolve anyway while it's cooking. Alright, now that we've added everything in, we're just going to put the lid on, and we're going to cook for about 30 or 40 minutes once I figure out where I'm going to put my chopsticks. Alright, the moment we've been waiting for, let's take this lid off. And it kind of looks the same. But don't worry, actually all of the meat in daikon has taken on a lot of the flavors from the things we put in earlier. So let's just keep on cooking. Alright, so now that we've cooked the daikon and meat a little bit more, we're going to add our shoyuu, or our soy sauce. Now that we've added our soy sauce, we're just going to move everything around a little bit, and we're going to put on our lid and cook for about 10 minutes. Okay, so let's take that lid off again, and it should look something like this. You'll notice the daikon and the meat look a little bit darker, and that's because of the soy sauce. And what I recommend is to further cook this about 20 or 30 minutes without the lid. It's going to cook down and the flavors are going to become that much richer.
Alright, so it's been about 2 hours, so now we can dig in. But with this dish, the longer you let it sit in the pot, the more flavors it'll absorb. So just turn the heat off and let it rest for a while, and it should be more flavorful by the time you eat it. But let's give it a shot. Alright, I'm going to start with the daikon. Pretty big. Oh, it's so good. And now the pork. Yeah, that's good. Alright, thanks for joining. See you next time. Bye.
And if you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe. And until then, keep cooking. Bye.